Let Me Get Your Bell Rung Pro Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, KG. Guys, I know that I said that we wouldn't be on until again next week, or actually on Monday in my interview that I have coming up. But things change at times. I say, why not? Let's do a podcast. Let's go ahead and cover AEW Dynamite. There will still be no podcast tomorrow night covering SmackDown. We all have family plans tomorrow night, so we won't be covering that. But we're here covering it tonight, and we'll be back with our regular schedule starting on, again, Monday, and then Tuesday to do a recap of Monday Night Raw. With me tonight, WCW veteran, author of Looking Up at the Lights, none other than Robbie Idol. Robbie, how are you?
Good. How you doing, KG?
Man, I'm doing great. Guys, the Grizzled Vet, well, his plans didn't change. He's actually going out to eat at Outback Steakhouse, celebrating his anniversary, and his mother-in-law's in town. So he's been a good son-in-law and visiting with his mother-in-law. We'll be excited to have him back next week. Podcast is never the same unless I have all of my crew with me. We all add something great to the podcast, or at least you and Grizzle, you guys add something. I add opinion. Man, AEW Dynamite. Look, before we get into that, I want to briefly talk about AEW's pay-per-view that happened this past Sunday. What was your thoughts overall on that pay-per-view? To be honest, for myself, the matches, great matches, but I don't know if it's just me, man. Tell me if you felt this way. The production of it felt like I was watching a Dynamite with just really good matches. It didn't feel like a big pay-per-view like AEW normally feels like.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're, like thinking back, I guess, thought the show was good though. I mean,
yeah,
overall it was good.
Yeah, I agree. The feel, the production is not the fault of the talent. Great matches for the most part. We had a few people come back, Christian and Edge, which I predicted a few months ago. I think that this is going to end up being their retirement tour. I really do. I think they're both going to retire pretty much at the same time. Also, we had Will Ospreay come back. Now, Robbie, just kind of, I want to bring this to your memory, and I wish Grizzle was here, but about 2 months ago, when they started airing these video packages of Will Ospreay, I said, I think Will's coming back pretty soon. And of course, you and Grizzle said, no, it's way too soon. They're just doing that so people don't forget. Well, I'm not the type of guy to say, I told you so, but I told you so.
And let's put it this way, though. I hope he didn't rush back.
I was thinking the same thing, because I was thinking when he comes back, we're going to get a different Will Ospreay. We're going to get more of that technical wrestler Will Ospreay because of this injury, not wanting to, re-injure himself. I'll be goddamn if he's not right back doing his shit that he's doing.
Right.
So yeah, I hope that you're right, that he doesn't re-injure himself. Robbie, as a professional wrestler, as a guy who's dealt with injuries yourself, how smart is he, going back to doing the same things?
I mean, if they're saying what he has, I guess he got the neck. We know he had the neck injury, but they're saying like there's screws and titanium plate and stuff in there, and to see what he's doing, I mean, I give him credit, but dear God, I mean, you're pushing it. I think you're coming back to show, hey, I still got it and stuff. I mean, I would have gave it a little bit longer, I think, to let a little bit more of that heal. I get it. You want to say, hey, I didn't lose anything, but you're kind of pushing it,
I agree. Let's go over real quick what happened at Revolution because it leads into some of the show from last night. FTR versus Young Bucks. FTR retains with Adam Copeland and Christian coming back post the match, leaving the Young Bucks and Christian and Copeland stare down. Both won that title. Tony Storm versus Marina Shafir. Tony Storm wins the match with a roll up, but holy shit, I think the biggest debut of the night was Ronda Rousey making her debut at AEW. Now look, there's a lot of wrestling fans, AEW, WWE, they're not happy because they're like, look, Ronda Rousey talks shit about the business, man. Some serious mad shit. Booker T on his podcast, he's like, look, I'm not mad at her. Everyone deserves a payday. She's not going to be here long. But Tony Khan probably offered her some money too good to pass by, so she's here for that payday to collect a check. What's your thoughts on it?
Here's the question, though. Doesn't she have a fight coming up in the UFC?
She does.
So, I mean,
a fight, by the way, sorry, Bob Cook, if you're listening, I think Ronda Rousey is going to get embarrassed. I think she's losing. That's
what I've heard. I mean, I just don't follow UFC, deeply, and everybody that follows it says they're betting on the other woman. So.
Look, this is the thing, man. Nothing is Ronda Rousey, but she needs to humble herself when it comes to professional wrestling, because by God, that might, after this fight, when she loses, and she's going to lose, I'm predicting first round knockout. Matter of fact, if that happens, she better embrace professional wrestling, because that's the only payday that she's going to get after this. If she does go down, like I think she's going to go down in the first round, I think that's going to be it for her in her MMA career. I think professional wrestling will be her only paycheck coming in. But let me tell you, if she talks any more shit, even Tony Khan may say, you know what, fuck off. We don't want you in here because the fans now don't want you in our sports. Time will tell. I'm waiting for Bob to pipe in and say, fuck you, Kevin.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't, I don't understand that. Like, you're getting a payday. Mm-hmm. Like, you made the transition. Why would you, like, something that's paying you, why would you talk shit about it?
I agree.
That just doesn't make any sense.
I agree, especially professional wrestling, because look, this is why I personally lost respect for Ronda Rousey. Professional wrestlers, they don't get seasons off, right? Yeah, they may be able to, after being on the road for a fucking 2 years straight, get a month off. But there's no wrestling season. Wrestling's year round, right? And is it predetermined? Of course it is. That's not letting anything out. We all know that it is in today's world. But is it a physically demanding sport? Absolutely it is. So for Ronda Rousey to use a word that I'm not even going to repeat that she uses, I will never use that word, which is the F word, right? That wrestling is the F word.
Wow.
I think it's bullshit. Again, say what you want, but professional wrestlers are out doing their thing a lot more than even them MMA fighters.
Right. And if you think about it, and I will give him credit, Stone Cold said this. He, when the MMA guys talked shit about professional wrestling, the way he broke it down, think about it. Professional wrestlers travel city to city. So you're training in a different gym every day. You're traveling every day, different places, different hotels, where the MMA guys, when you're getting ready for a fight, you're in the same gym, your same crew, your same bed, everything's the same, so you're not even traveling. Right. Where professional wrestling, day in and day out, you're in a different city.
Right. And even if you do travel, look, say you live in, somewhere in the fucking Midwest, and your fight's in Vegas. Even if you do travel, you're there for a couple of days and then you're back home with your family. Right? And look, I mean, don't get me wrong. And please, all you MMA fans, don't misunderstand me. Am I saying that any professional wrestler can jump into MMA like your Brock Lesnar and have a successful career? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Not every wrestler. Matter of fact, CM Punk failed. But at the same time, we've seen MMA fighters try to get into professional wrestling and they failed as well, right? So I'm not saying that, the athletes professional wrestling could come and dominate MMA. That'd be foolish to say. What I am saying, though, is to talk smack about professional wrestling like it's not a very grueling and a very physically combative sport, like it's ballet, like Ronda Rousey did. That's bullshit. Right. So was I happy to see her I wasn't. I'm just being honest with you.
Right. But here's the thing, and I'm not taking away from the MMA guys. How would they do, though, if they had to do what a professional wrestler does day in and day out, travel different cities, different gyms, stuff like that? That's still, that, and then go, do a fight,
Well, look, this is the thing about professional wrestling. Not only is professional wrestling physical, right? It's 100% physical, but it's also mental because you are away from your family and your friends on a regular basis. That's not easy for a married man or a married woman to be on the road the way professional wrestlers are on the road. The amount of trust that you have to have with your spouse, the closeness that you have to make sure that you have with your kids, the rare times that you're home, right? That has to be on the mind of professional wrestlers. So therefore, it's not just physically demanding, it's mentally demanding as well. So what you're saying is absolutely valid, right? Got people in MMA, and again, I'm not taking away from the talent that is within that sport to talk shit about professional wrestling the way Ronda Rousey did, like she's up on this pedestal because she's Miss MMA. That's bullshit. It really is.
Right. Both sports are demanding, right. But you think MMA, what are you fighting, let's say twice a year? So you do train, but you can also say, okay, you know what? My next fight's not 6 months. So you know what? I'm going to take it. I'm a coach for these next 2 months.
Right.
Where a professional wrestler doesn't get to say, I'm going to coach for the next 2 months because you're traveling. You're in the ring night in and night out.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
So, they're both demanding. It's
right.
Just,
Right. Yeah. 100%. By the way, before we really get started, guys, this is an adult show. It is 18 plus. This is not made for kids. So don't watch this with your young kids unless you're okay with young kids hearing grown folk talk, because there's going to be adult language. Just to let you know. Moxley and Takeshita. I actually enjoyed that match. I really did. This is what's confusing, and we're going to get into more of this when we talk about Dynamite. This is when Will Ospreay made his comeback, was after this match, right? What's confusing is we have had Moxley now, even though he's still with the Death Riders, he's still being pushed as a babyface ever since this tournament where he won his title. He's talked like a babyface. He's acted like a babyface. The fans cheer for him like he's a babyface. But last night, or at the pay-per-view, when Will Ospreay came back, he didn't act like a babyface. He went back to acting like the heel, the cowardly heel, the guy that's running away, right? This is with the turnoff. And we'll get more into that, into what happened on Dynamite. Also, again, the lights went out. That's where we had Will Ospreay come up to a huge chant or pop. We also know video showing 0 Hour with Willa Nightingale, who was also attacked by Megan Bay and Elena Cross, which led to Will double duty She defended her title and then the tag team titles, which her and Harley Cameron, they lost. Then, of course, we had the Swerve Strickland and Brody King match, which Swerve Strickland won that match. Brody King went from being able to break a chain to getting whipped like he was a weak person, with Kenny Omega having to come to save his ass. I can tell you that Brody King has never been the most dangerous man on AEW, nor will he ever be the most dangerous man on AEW, especially after that match, in my opinion. Robbie.
I've said it before. He was not in that kind of match. I mean, I was kind of surprised there was no blood, but like I said, he has not been in the hardcore match that I recall.
Right. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm in no way, shape, or form insinuating or saying that this was a bad match. I enjoyed the match. I did. But considering this was a match about who is the baddest guy in AEW, I didn't get that feel, man. I just didn't. Even the guy who loses still should be viewed as a dangerous guy. This is not how I am viewing Brody King. I viewed him more of a dangerous, more dominant guy before this. I think this feud hurt him. What about you, Robbie?
Yeah, I mean, it really did. And I mean, having Kenny come out and save him at the end and everything, yeah, definitely didn't help say, hey, this is the baddest man in AEW.
Yep. We had Tekla versus Chris Statlander, best out of two 3 falls for the women's championship. Now, I'm going to be honest with everybody. When it came time to this match, I literally sighed and looked at my wife and said, fuck, I wish I could fast forward this match. But I was wrong. This match was a lot better than what I thought it was going to be. I'm not saying that I'm going to be Dave Meltzer and give it a 5-star match rating. I don't know if Dave did that now, but Dave likes to do that shit. I'm not saying that, but I am saying that it was enjoyable. I was also pleasantly surprised by the end of the match, having Tekla win. I did not see that coming. I honestly thought that Statlander was going to get the belt. She's their girl. Robbie?
Yeah, it kind of surprised me that they didn't put her over. Match was good, but yeah, I was surprised that Statlander didn't go over, as I was surprised in the Moxley Takeshita that Takeshita did not go over.
Yeah.
I figured if they were I figured Takeshita would go over.
Right.
I really did.
Now, the next match, it was a good match, but it doesn't make sense what they did. Jet Speed with Mystico versus Don Callis family, Mark Davis, Kyle Fletcher, and Okada the Rainmaker for the trios title. Let me say, first off, Mystico, man, what a pop this young man received. And good for him. Good for him. It was a decent match. My problem, though, is the title change to me was pointless. It's useless. Because this title has lost any importance that it had, because it's changing from team to team like it's fucking hot potato. The Don Callis family should have held this title for a while to make it seem important. Instead, they didn't. And once again, this went on, in my opinion, to hurt Mark Davis even further. Mark Davis seems like he's the weak link within the Callis family, and that doesn't make sense to me. Being that when his partner was here, they were dominant. They were booking them like they were two dominant guys that found each other. To me, I don't know if that team's even savable now after the way they booked Mark Davis. since his partner's been hurt. Robbie, first,
Yeah.
what do you think? Do you agree that this was a completely pointless title change? Or no, not really, because they want to build up Jet Speed and Mystico together?
Well, now it's my turn to tell you so, because remember, I called this. I told you that they were going to win.
Yeah.
And here's what's funny, though, is Mystico, I was thinking it was somebody else. And when he came out, I'm like, dude, I'm thinking this is I don't remember having a mask. So do you remember the team? They were tag team. And I think one of the guys was from like South Africa or whatever.
I do, but I can't remember who he is.
Okay, so I was thinking it was one of those guys. Okay. And then I saw it and I went, okay, obviously I'm wrong on this, Mystico. It wasn't who it was, so it was surprising. But yeah.
And by the way, not to interrupt you, but this was the best I've seen Mystico in a long time. Holy shit, this kid, this young man, I'm assuming he's a young man. Fuck it, he'd be as old as me as far as I know he has a mask on. But this athlete, he was tremendous in this match. Go ahead, Robbie.
Okay. Well, I mean, because look, you would think Jet Speed's a young man, and he's saying he's been in the wrestling game for 20 years now. So what did he start when he was like 10?
Right.
Because he does look like a young guy. I mean, you know. Yeah, I mean, the match was good and everything, but yeah, I figured they were going to turn it over. I mean, I don't know if you're trying to push these three like Jet Speed, Mystico, and Knight. I don't know if that's, who knows what they're doing. But yeah, I mean, that title's changing hands like, you know.
This is what bothers me. Besides Mark Davis, you had the Rainmaker, who is an international title holder, right? You have Kyle Fletcher, who has his title, right? Well, wait. Yeah, Kyle still has, Kyle has his title. And it would make more sense if these guys, this trios team, two of whom are singles champions, would have kept the title and won this match. Build this title up a little bit. How about make it more of a feud between these three guys instead of the first time they meet, all of a sudden they win, right? Talk about Mystico, Jet Speed, and Kevin Knight. Build it up, but get a storyline out of this. Make me care about this title. They failed to do so at Revolution. Next, we go to a match. All right. Bandito and Andrade. This is the thing. There was a guy who, I can't remember his name. He has a name in professional wrestling as far as being in the media, who rated this match and said this match should have been no more than 10 minutes instead of being a 22-minute match that we didn't ask for. Let me tell you, you're right. He's absolutely right. This was a 22-minute match I didn't ask for. This was also a 22-minute match that I fucking enjoyed. Now, don't get me wrong. There was a couple of points in the match that rolled my eyes. One of them was the whole taking your pants off thing. I'm rolling my eyes here saying, okay, am I watching professional wrestling or am I watching fucking a strip, show? And then I just don't like the whole Andrade flirting and getting numbers during the middle of the match. But besides those two things, which is very, very minimal, what a hell of a fucking match. Match of the night, in my opinion. What a match these two had. Robbie?
Yeah, good match. But I agree with you. The shit that they're doing with Andrade, the get the number, the take my pants off, and that you can do without that crap,
Right. Andrade got the win. Good for Andrade. Look, I've always liked Andrade. I've always thought that his runs with both AEW and WWE, for whatever reason, was very mishandled. Now, of course, our co-host, the Cooker, Bob Cook, will say, who gives a fuck? He's on television. His bank account's happy. Wins and losses don't matter in professional wrestling. And I've had quite a few. David Young, who I just interviewed, agreed to a degree. I think for fans, and I'm a fan, view it differently than actual people who are in the business, right? I get, Robbie, that when you go, you know if you're winning or losing, and you're just thrilled that you have a job, that you're being used, and you're getting paid. I get that, right? Just because you're in the industry. But as a fan, those of us who it's Robbie Idol's job to get me to care about you, regardless if it's I love you or I hate you. I need to have a feeling. And if you're a guy that I hate, of course I want to see you lose. And if you're a guy that I love, I want to see you win. And then there's guys like Andrade that has his feet on both sides, in my opinion. He's disliked and liked at the same time. He's kind of an anti-hero, I guess. Although we'll talk about it, I think he's about to completely have a face turn. We'll get into that when we get into Dynamite. So it matters to us fans. No disrespect to Bob, right? But it does matter. So I'm glad to see that he is being booked and getting these wins the way he's been getting them. Robbie, your take on it, man?
Yeah, I mean, coming from the business, you're happy that you're being used and you're getting paid. So, I mean, I get it where you're coming from as a fan, but also knowing how the business is, it is what it is. So, like where Bob's coming from, I mean, we're in the business. I can't get mad that if they're saying, okay, your job is to make KG look good. Well, I don't want to make KG look good.
Let me interrupt for a second. God damn, if that was ever a thing to where they were hiring you to make me look good, Jesus Christ, I'd be mad about that. I would quit. That's impossible for me to make KG look good.
Hey, I would like to think I could do that. I was good at what I did, so I could put you over. But so your job, so you can't. It was funny. I think I had a conversation actually with Robbie a couple of days ago. We were talking about something and saying, like, kids that are coming into business and saying, hey, I'm not going to take that move. This, that. And I said, could you imagine back in the day, like here I am working for Florida Championship Wrestling or WCW. And they say, okay, you're going to work with Van Vader. Me in the position I'm at going, I'm not working with them. They would tell me there's the door. You did, whatever you said, the guy asked you, okay, can you do this move? Yes. Okay. You're taking that move, or they called it in the ring and you were taking it, you had so where it's kind of funny with some of the stuff that I've seen nowadays is guys who are like, oh, I'm not doing that. Mm-hmm. But like, if you to work with like people that I've worked with or, veterans, you're taking it, even if you thought you weren't going to take it.
Yeah, I've heard those stories.
I mean, so it is like us in the business know, okay, this is what it is. And we're just, we're happy we're there. We're getting paid and we got a job. I understand where you're coming from as a fan because you're invested in that person. You want to see
that's what I want to ask you. As a professional wrestler, yourself, the Cooker Bob Cook, and my guests that come on the show, then I'll say the same thing, that win and losses that doesn't mean shit to you guys. What means more is being on television and being used weekly, right?
Right.
But let me ask you this. Fan to professional wrestler. If you hear a fan say, I don't give a shit about wins and losses for the professional wrestlers, don't you feel like in some way that professional wrestler is not doing their job to have the fan care about it? Because even though in today's time and age, we know that, look, this isn't the 70s, the 60s, the early 80s, where we think that, or we don't know if it's truly predetermined or not, that we're throwing piss and shit at you because you're the bad guy. No, in today's time and age, we know it's predetermined. But even so, if you can make a fan forget about that and care about wins and losses, isn't that the ultimate job?
Yeah, for the fans, yes.
Right.
I mean, and what is funny, and I mean, even me knowing how the business is, yes, there's people I like that I see on TV, and you want to see them win. So, I mean, I am with you. And then when you're like, okay, like I figured Takeshita's going over Moxley.
Right.
When he lost, I'm like, what the fuck, you know? Like, so I get where you're coming from, you know, but, you know, and then you had to take a step back and go, you know, Tony thinks, okay, put Moxley over, you know?
Yeah. Because, like, I'll be honest with you, even doing this podcast, right? Sometimes it's hard because I don't want to be the podcast host KG where I need to act this a certain way, you know, a professional with, you know, two guys that are legit in the business. In other words, I can't act like a mark. But there's times that I do want to. The fandom in me, I want to come out. I want to say, God damn it. Why did Takeshita win? That's bullshit. Because I know if I do that, especially Bob, he's going, oh, that doesn't matter, you know, as long as he's getting paid. Now I'm going to feel like a fucking total loser of a mark, you know what I'm saying?
Well, Bob will make you feel like that. See, if you want to act like that, you go ahead because it's your show. I might agree with you on some people, you know?
Yeah, I don't, because I want to have the caliber of guests come on that I do. And if I'm marking out every show, I'm not.
Right. Well, yeah.
Next, we go to this match. I wasn't disappointed in the match. And I'm talking about Roderick Strong, Orange Cassidy, Darby Allin versus David Finlay, Gabe Kidd, and Clark Connors in a tornado tag match. The match was exactly what I thought it was going to be. Right? Darby Allin in it, Gabe Kidd. It was exactly what I thought. They delivered. It was a terrible match. But this is why I was disappointed. I was so badly wanting Roderick Strong to turn on Orange Cassidy, to have whatever little feud they have, and then for me to have Roderick Strong go on to bigger and better things. Because I think Roderick Strong, this is the fan in me coming out. I think Roderick Strong is so much better than how they're booking him, right? To be in kind of these silly things. Now, of course, that's the fan in me, but hey, man's being used, he's making money, right? And I'm sure he's happy with it. The fan in me, though, I love Roderick Strong. Do you feel that way? Because I know you were kind of hoping as well a little bit. Because look, a heel Roderick Strong, oh my God, he's great.
Yeah, but then see, and I have a connection with Roderick, right? You know, because I've known him since he's 15. Right. I've been in the ring with him. I have seen him. I've seen him kind of go through. I've watched his career and everything, and the kid's very talented. You know, you can't. Anybody that says he's not, then you know, right? You're just. You either don't watch wrestling or whatever. I mean, the kid, you know, and to have, like, if you watched him back in ROH with his 60-minute matches and Iron Man matches and stuff like that. So the kid's very talented, and you would think they'd book him a little different, but, you know, the way that I don't understand the way they're using him.
Right. Guys, we get an announcement that Tony Storm was going to face Marina Shafir, a no-holds-bar match. And we'll get into what happened. This was supposed to happen last night in Dynamite, and we'll get there. When we get to that point, we'll talk about it. The main event, MJF versus Hangman Adam Page in a Texas death match for the AEW Men's Heavyweight Champion. If Hangman loses, he can never go after the championship in AEW again. And let me clear something up for a lot of the fans. I've been thinking that, no, the stipulation was that he couldn't go after it as long as MJF had it. No. The stipulation, if he loses, he can never go after the AEW championship. Ever. Now, of course, it's professional wrestling, and we'll creative possibly come up with some loophole that will allow Hangman Adam Page to once again chase after that title. Maybe. Now, will it be a good loophole? I don't have a whole lot of faith with creative in AEW these days for a lot of things, so maybe not. But this is the thing. And by the way, Hangman Adam Page did lose, which I think most of us knew that he would. Look, this is the thing about Hangman Adam Page. He's not perceived very well by fans when he's actually the champion. He's always gotten most of the love when he was chasing the title. But this is also the thing, though. Again, when he was chasing the title. Will fans get behind him now that he's not allowed to chase that title anymore? I don't know. But there's more than one title. I think there's like 99.77 million titles in AEW for him to chase after. Now, this match, man, look, I didn't hate it. A lot of crazy spots. This match also became a dog collar match at one point. And I want to give MJF props for wearing Terry fucking attire on this night. Now, Dory Funk is the one that created the Texas Death Match. He was the master of the match, but Terry Funk was also known by it. And again, MJF, being the student of professional wrestling that he is, came out in Tory Funk attire to give flowers to Terry Funk, not Tory, to Terry Funk. MJF says during the match that he isn't doing that deathmatch ending bullshit. That made me laugh because right after that, buddy, you have no choice. Robbie, your thoughts on the match? Let me, by the way, these are weapons that were used during this match: a garbage can lid, a staple gun, paper for paper cuts, glass window, barbed wire, tables, chairs, push broom handle, very jagged, a syringe, a chair with barbed wire around it, fluorescent light bulbs, skewers, a double dog collar chain, a board of barbed wire. And then, of course, MJF wins by choking Adam Page out. I wasn't crazy about the ending, to be honest with you. Robbie?
I liked the match. I mean, I did cringe. I cringed when I saw the syringe.
That made me laugh, and I tell you why. This was an absolutely fuck you to all the people crying when Swerve and Hangman did it in their lights out match. That's why it was done. I thought it was great. Right. And the only reason I say I didn't like the end of the match was because it was too close to the Swerve Strickland and Brody King storyline.
Okay.
Otherwise, I would have been fine with it. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, but I mean, still, you wonder what went through Page's head to say, yes, I'll take that. You know, I mean,
money.
Well, I hope he got paid a lot for that because I don't even know if I could do that to somebody, you know. But yeah, I mean, the rest of the stuff it was all, you know, I was good with, and I kind of figured that was the route they were going to go. Is when I saw the dog collar, somebody was getting choked out.
Yeah, look, believe it or not, the weapon used that made me cringe more than anything else, I swear to you, was the paper cuts in between the fingers. I was like, oh my God, I won't take staples in my chest and my back. Happier than I would the paper cuts. I'm telling you. Like I said, the pay-per-view was good. My only little complaint was it felt more like a Dynamite, you know, episode than your typical AEW puts on just great pay-per-views, in my opinion. And they always have that big feel to it. For some reason, it felt like Dynamite with just a lot of great matches. But again, that's a production thing. The matches were great. I would give this a B+. I really would. What about you?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. B+.
Yeah. Guys, let's get into Dynamite. I felt like it was important to go over some things just because Dynamite kind of was, they followed through with a lot of stuff, and I was happy to see that. We started off Dynamite with Will Ospreay versus Blake Christian. Man, look, I am a Blake Christian fan. I really am. I think this young man, I think that he is a superstar in the making. I really do. He reminds me a lot of Will Ospreay, even the way he looks. Will Ospreay again made his in-ring return. Fans went crazy. Great match, and he defeats Blake Christian by pinfall. But I gotta tell you again, Will Ospreay doing those things that I didn't think that we'd see him doing right away, Robbie.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first time I've ever seen that kid Blake.
Oh, really?
Yeah, very first time.
Yeah.
But I was impressed. I was like, wow, this kid's really good.
Yeah.
This stuff, and now you like the way you make a comparison, you think about it and say, yeah, he kind of does look like Will Ospreay. I mean, I was impressed with the moves he was doing. Watching Will to do that, and I guess maybe is just to say, hey, I can still do this to prove to everybody. I
hope that's not the case, Robbie. I'll tell you why. At this stage of Will Ospreay's career, if he feels like he still has to prove himself to people by doing those moves, that would be a disappointment. It really would, because Will Ospreay, to me, he's already proven who Will Ospreay is. Or, here's a good question for you, Robbie. You're a professional wrestler. Does a professional wrestler ever get that mindset that I don't have to prove anything to these fans? I'm here. Does that ever go away?
It depends on the individual.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see where Will's coming from. I mean, I would, if I was in that position, me coming back from an injury, yeah, I could see me doing that to prove to everybody, yes, I can still do this or do what I did.
Right.
So I can see that. But I mean, you would think where he is on the ladder that, like you said, you don't have to prove anything. And you would think you'd take it, maybe for the first couple months, take it easy a little bit, maybe do one of those moves, two maybe out of a match, but, not like go like typical Will Ospreay.
Right.
You kind of let that heal a little bit more.
Right.
Because even like, and I mean, listening to Daniel Bryan saying, he was surprised how quick he came back. And he said Will's neck injury was worse than his.
Yeah. Now, before we go into the post-match, I do want to bring something up that's been all over, not just wrestling media reporting on this. TMZ even reported on this, and I posted this on my social media page. By the way, guys, please follow me on Facebook, KG Landry, and also follow Get Your Bell Rung Pro Wrestling Podcast on Facebook. And I know you gave your opinion, but I want to talk about it a little bit. And of course, talk about Ricochet. Now, I'm going to give a little bit more context about what happened. So apparently, there's a woman on social media who talks smack about Ricochet. Now, this woman suffers from MS. Ricochet's response to this was mouthing off, I'm glad you have MS. Right? Now, of course, Ricochet's a heel. And my question was this, and I was asking, and not so much the fans professional wrestling, because I value the opinions when it comes to a topic like this of those that's actually in the industry. So I didn't even give my opinion of it. Was this Ricochet just being kayfabe? And although people say kayfabe is dead, was this him trying to breathe life into kayfabe? Or, man, is this just way over the line? Heel or not, this is, people die from MS, right? I got a lot of feedback from this. And I'll tell you, let's go over. Sorry, I meant to have my phone open whenever I wanted to talk about this. This is what some people had to say, and again, mostly people who are in the industry commented. Bob Cook says, in the day and age, it's not being a heel, it's being an asshole. And then you have to apologize. It's being basically, you shouldn't do that. You crossed the line. Then you said, unfortunately, kayfabe is killed in today's world, or with the internet media, social media. It has ruined it. Another person says, kayfabe died in '87 on the New Jersey Turnpike. The attempt at keeping kayfabe alive got widely accepted when MJF started doing it, part of the gimmick, his shtick. Begs the question, why is he doing what MJF does? Someone said, Cheap Heat, that's all it is. Cheap Heat, he has no clue on how to be heel. Again, and these are just some of the comments, and these are all people in the industry. This is not your fans. Robbie, now obviously you agreed with all of this. At what point should a professional wrestler say, I can respond in a way that's going to get me heat, but not like this?
Yeah, I mean, to say, hey, I'm glad you I mean, I don't know what her comments were towards him, but you're in that industry, you're a heel, so you're gonna get people making remarks about you.
Right.
Not to be a dick or whatever, but to say something like that with, who knows how bad that is with her.
Right.
You would think you could do something, make a comment without using that DMS thing, or I'm glad you have it.
Right.
You could have, there's other comments you could have made,
Right. Now, look, this in a way has gotten so the original comment came after a woman criticized Ricochet's acting skills. Now, this is where I think I'm going to share my opinion. One, I think to try to compare this to what MJF did, keeping kayfabe alive, is completely different. MJF just acts like an asshole, and yeah, he took a WWE title that I can't want him to sign and did what he did, right? No harm, no foul. Really, he acted like what a heel would act like. The MS thing, I agree with all of you guys. I think that's a little too much. But does it mean that it's okay for him, for his wife, Samantha, Irvin, to get death threats? No, that's crossing the line too. This has gotten way out of line, and no, in my opinion, it really has. But at the same time, Robbie, one could say, and I'm asking you, playing the devil's advocate, did Ricochet bring this on himself? Was he not thinking? And on top of it, how much should Tony Khan be involved in this? Should Tony Khan not allow his talent to have as much freedom as they have?
I mean, the death threat against her, because she didn't make the comment.
Right.
So, I mean, whatever idiots are doing that, it wasn't her. I mean, I could see, okay, somebody made death threat.
Oh, Ricochet's getting him too. Ricochet's getting him too.
I mean, I can see that, unfortunately. I mean, yeah, I mean, you would think Tony would say, I mean, you want to be a heel, fine, don't cross that line. I mean, you would think you'd say, hey, act a little professional, don't cross that line. I mean, that would be like some kid that looks at you and goes, you suck as a wrestler.
Right.
And finding out he has some whatever, or, and making a comment, well, I'm glad you got that, kid.
Right.
That's crossing that line. And you're thinking, but if the kid's saying I suck, I've done my job of making him dislike me if I'm a heel.
Right.
So if he's doing that, I've done my job. And you go on. I mean, if the lady's saying the question is acting skills or something, you could have went a different route. You could have said, hey, get your ass in the ring and see how easy this is, or whatever,
Well, right, because look, her making that comment, you're a fucking heel. You should have been excited that she said that. You shouldn't have came back so harsh, in my opinion, because that means, my God, you know what? Maybe your acting skills really aren't that bad, because she's coming at you, which means that she's buying the truth as asshole, right?
Right.
Now, as far as keeping the kayfabe thing, this is where it's going to fail, because he is a heel. Well, guess what? I think he should 100% apologize to save face, to save company face, right, with AEW. But now if he apologizes, heels don't apologize. So now what is that doing to kayfabe, right? Now I'm not saying that kayfabe should, trump what he said. I'm saying the whole reason he said this to preserve kayfabe is failing to begin with. So to go to that extent means that, well, you're not helping at all whatsoever.
Right. I mean, now the whole situation is a no win-win situation the whole way around.
Yep. Yeah. So this is gonna be interesting to see what's going to happen. I'm waiting to see if Tony Khan is going to come out, and if we're going to see stricter rules. I'm waiting to see if there's going to be any consequences towards Ricochet.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know if this would even save face. Like Tony could say, hey, AEW apologizes on behalf of him. We do not, I'm lost for the word I'm looking for. Do not condone what he said or whatever. That you could at least try to save face for AEW.
Here's a question. It goes back to what I said. If AEW does that, does that make it look like AEW cares more about storylines and preserving someone's heel status than actually having someone who said something that has really affected a lot of people? Because again, people's lost loved ones to a mess, right? So will that make AEW look bad by them apologizing instead of making Ricochet apologize?
Well,
see, it's a no-win situation.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, I'm just kind of thinking out loud and saying, but I mean, if Tony does apologize, you wonder if it at least saves face for Tony.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
But I mean, the whole thing, it's a no-win situation.
Yeah. 100%. Back to Dynamite, guys. Post-match, once after Ospreay beats Christian Blake, he calls out Jon Moxley. Moxley and Will Ospreay come through the crowd, leading to a brawl. Pat joins in attacking Ospreay and looking in the locking in the brutalizer before security breaks it up. Again, this is where I was talking about with creative. Just seems like they're fucking clueless when it comes to some of the shit that they do. So we have Jon Moxley, although he's still with the Death Riders, very much a heel faction for the most part, is the leader, but yet he's a babyface, or he has been since he got into this tournament, since he won this title. When he won the title, thanking the fans, all the shit he's been doing. Babyface-like, very much so. But all of a sudden, Will Ospreay comes back during the pay-per-view. He runs like a coward, heel-like. Last night, instead of addressing Will Ospreay one-on-one, Nope, he comes out with a group of guys to attack Will Ospreay again. That's heel actions. What's going on? I'm confused as far as what Jon Moxley is supposed to be. Robbie?
Yeah, that you wonder, because when he won the tournament, the way Tony Schiavone talked about him and the way he talked and everything, and now he's back to, so you wonder, are they going to do this heel thing with him against Ospreay, or who knows what they're doing? But yeah, creative. I don't know if creative knows what they're doing.
Yeah, I agree. Next, guys, we go the Death Rider versus the Bang Bang Gang. Now, during the Bang Bang Gang's intro, of course, shit's still happening. I'm not going to lie to you. I kind of liked it a little bit because the Bang Bang Gang, Juice Robinson, with Austin Gunn and the other young man, I can't remember his name.
Austin.
Yeah, Austin something. But they're funny guys, right? So them coming out the way they did and they're the same fashion, while Jon Moxley, Will Euler, and Daniel Sears, all the shit's going on, it kind of made me laugh a little bit. It's kind of comical. The action, once we started, it was fine. The Austin kid, man, he's impressive. He definitely doesn't skip leg day, that's for sure. Death Riders, they do they do get the victory though. Robbie, your thoughts on all of this?
Good match. I like that the kid they brought in with them, the Austin kid. I like him. And the regular guys, Juice and the other Austin Gunn. They're fine. Again, not a Moxley fan. I'm not a Moxley fan. I'm not a Yuta fan. But it is what it is. The match was okay though. But I like that the Austin kid. I like him. I think he's impressive, and hopefully they'll start to push him and kind of put him over.
From what I understand, and I don't know if it was Vet or maybe Gerald or George Strong, who had pointed out at one time this young man, he was once with TNA, I guess.
Okay.
So, yeah, we'll see with AEW. I know that he's on Collision. I've seen him on Collision a couple of times. Maybe they're planning on bringing him to Dynamite more. Oh, we'll see. Next, guys. Gabe Kidd calls out Darby Allin. Look, I'm getting tired of this fucking feud. Backstage, Gabe Kidd challenges Darby Allin to meet him in the parking lot later in the night. Of course, we know that we're going to have a coffin match later in the night. Next, we have, Robbie, let me ask you this. Does Gabe Kidd and the feud he has with Darby Allin, knowing what we were going to see a coffin match later tonight, was this something that kept you tuned in to Dynamite last night?
No, I'm with you. This feud's been maybe a month and a half, and it feels like it's been 6 months. And it's like, please just end this.
See, this is my problem with the feud. It's not because I think that any of these gentlemen don't have any talent, because they do. It's not because I don't think they should be with AEW. They should be. The problem with the feud, excuse me, guys, I have hiccups. The problem with this feud is, what's the payoff? You know what I'm saying? What's the freaking payoff? This feud is just kind of like they're feuding just to feud. There's no titles involved. So, and I get professional wrestling, you have these type of feuds. But usually, if they're long feuds, there's some type of a payoff. Here, there's none. So, be done with it already. Robbie?
Right. Yes. Okay. So we had Gabe Kidd interfere in a match and threw Darby through the flaming table. Now they've come back, and every match after that, Darby has won.
Right.
You know, now you got Gabe Kidd saying, "Oh, I'm gonna, you're gonna make you push up daisies," and this and that. But every match he's losing. So
right.
you've kind of this feud. It makes no sense.
Right. No, I agree.
I mean, because it's Darby just keeps winning.
Yeah. Yep. Next, we go to Kenny Omega promo. Kenny Omega addressed Swerve Strickland and challenged him to put his #1 contendership for the AEW World Championship online. I swear to God, this is not as the God truth. When I heard this, the first thing that went through my head was, I know where this is going, and I hope I'm wrong. And we'll get there. What was your thoughts on this, Robbie?
Obviously, I wasn't thinking along the lines you were. I just thought, okay, he's going to challenge Swerve for his #1 contendership, and didn't even cross my mind about where it's going.
The reason why that thought came across my head is not because I'm this big professional wrestling genius or anything like that. It's because it was just recently done, and it was somewhat successful in the way they handle it. And I'm like, I could see creative or whoever came up with this going down this road just out of pure laziness. That's why I thought the way I thought. We'll get to it. Speaking of the Coffin Match, that's what we have next. Darby Allin, Gabe Kidd. Now, of course, it starts off with Darby and Gabe meeting somewhere. And, of course, Darby Allin commits quite a few felonies by beating Gabe Kidd's ass and then drunkenly putting what is the stuff they use?
Chloroform?
Chloroform to knock him out and then freaking kidnap him. And then, of course, flips the car over, tries to kill him. So now we have assault. Now we have kidnapping. Now,
attempted
murder. And it just so happens where he flipped this car at is, goddamn, are we lucky it's right by the arena. Because now they come out to the ring and we have the match. And again, it's exactly what I was expecting. We have MJF beating, once again, Gabe Kidd. Robbie?
Yeah, like we said earlier, just I want the feud to end. I'm like, please. It's just there, like you said, there's no payout. Right. So maybe like when Darby got on the mic and told MJF, "I'm coming for you." Hopefully they're gonna move. He's gonna move away from Gabe Kidd, and Gabe Kidd can go feud with somebody else now.
Right now. And I don't know where this happened in the show. I know it was after this match because I didn't write it down for some reason. But we have, as you said, Darby Allin telling MJF, I'm coming for you, buddy. I want that title. Never going to stop until I get that title, which leads to a backstage segment with Andrade. And while Andrade was cutting his promo, someone walks up to Andrade and says, "Hear me out first," and puts Don Callis on speakerphone saying, "Hey, we need you to take out Darby Allin because MJF is paying us." And now Andrade kind of has a problem with this because Andrade wants the title. MJF holds the title. Andrade's like, "Why are we helping a guy who has the title that I want?" Don Callis is like, "Oh, you're great. We're going to get there, but, we want the money." I think this is them planting seeds for Andrade to turn on Don Callis, or for Don Callis' family to turn on Andrade, Kevin Andrade, that babyface push, leading him to a match against MJF at some point. But this is what annoyed me about it, though. MJF is paying Don Callis' family to take care of Darby Allin because Don Callis' words, Darby Allin has been annoying MJF. Darby Allin hasn't even had MJF on his map until a couple of minutes prior. They made it seem like this has been, Darby Allin's been going after MJF for quite a while. So it's a little something like that I'm like, really? That was kind of a little bit of a goof up. Where are you at with this, Robert? Do you think that, this is them planting a seed for Andrade to leave Don Callis?
Yeah, because it's like the second time.
Right.
Because there was like a couple shows ago, MJF came up when Andrade and Callis were doing a promo, and Andrade looked at Callis and made the comment, "We're not working with him, are we?" And,
right.
So now, you've gotten a couple promos that you've planted that seed.
Right.
So, so here's the good part about it. At least, hopefully soon, Callis will lose 2 members of his family. He'll lose Andrade and he'll lose Takeshita.
Right. By the way, and I didn't mention this, it's important to mention that in Revolution, after the match with Takeshita and Moxley, they embraced, they shook hands.
Right. Another babyface move.
right. So we know that they're on their way to push Takeshita into becoming a babyface.
Right. But
and with Andrade, I don't think they really have a choice. Oh, actually, I did write this down. My bad. I don't think they have a choice in this because if you think about Andrade's match against Bandito at Revolution, Bandito normally gets that pop, right? He gets cheered, which he did to a degree, but so was Andrade. People love Andrade. He's not getting booed. Yeah, Don Callis is still getting the fuck Don Callis thing, but Andrade is still getting, cheered as well. It's one of those things that I think they feel like, we got to turn your babyface.
Right.
Next, we go to what I consider I'm not gonna say worst match of the night because the match wasn't bad. I'm gonna say my least favorite match of the night. No holds barred match. Mina Shirakawa versus Marina Shafir. Now, originally it was supposed to be Toni Storm, but it was reported that Toni Storm was injured last night. And Bob Cook, guys. I won't say that word. I just said I wasn't going to say it. But anyway, it's reported that she was injured. Talk about Toni Storm, but it's an undisclosed injury. I think it's a work because of the fact that they're saying it's an undisclosed injury. Anyway, Mina took her place in it, and to our surprise, or to my surprise, defeats Marina Shafir by pinfall. Again, my least favorite match of the night. I'm not a big Mina fan. I didn't like that she won the match, to be honest with you. And it's a curious move, Robbie, because look, we just have Ronda Rousey make her AEW debut. She's going to be linked to Marina Shafir, right?
Right.
I think this was wrong time to have Marina lose. Now, I'm sure that it was originally booked for Toni Storm to win, which would have now made sense. That I'd been okay with. But when they had to have Mina take her place, I think they should have shifted plans, in my opinion, to have Shafir actually beat Mina. Robbie?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised when she won. The only, I guess, saving grace that maybe Tony's looking at is she hit Marina in the head with the bottle.
Right.
you know.
Right.
And if you watched at the end of the match, you could see Marina on the ground trying not to lose it because she had a big smile on her face, you know. It was like, is she, you know, gonna kind of just like lose it in the ring, you know, just. But yeah, so I wonder how many people noticed like that big smile on her face. But I think Tony's thought was, okay, our saving grace is hit her in the head with the bottle. But still, I would have figured you'd have shifted gears, you know. And I mean, if they are bringing Ronda in, you know, they should have had her there and at least interfere in the match or something, you know.
Right. Now, as far as her having this injury, do you think it's legit or do you think that this is a work now? Because look, I said this with Seth Rollins during the Saturday Night main event when they had him, you know, fake his knee injury. Because of how vague they was, you know, the news was reporting about his injury, that's what gave it away. I'm like, this isn't real. This is a work. I feel the same way with Tony Storm because of how vague. Because normally, if you think about it, when a wrestler's injured, they usually get it's somewhat detailed, you know, especially at first. And it's not. So do you think this is a work or do you think, no, this is a legit injury and they're just being vague for whatever reason?
No, I think it's a work. Just because if you watch, we'll go back to the pay-per-view. When they brought out Ronda, she called Tony down. Tony came. Tony was sitting on the ring thing. Marina gave her that, you know, kicked her in the head at the end and stuff. So you're wondering if that was there. And then, like they said, something happened to her today. You know, somebody attacked her. Marina played it off. Could have been me. Could not have been me. So it's like, okay, are you trying to put the thought, okay, it's Ronda Rousey that attacked her or whatever? So, you know, the way that they, like you said, that they're not giving details what's wrong with her, the way everything is and the way everybody's kind of playing it, it's a work. I would think it's a work just because of the way they're setting this thing up.
Yeah. Bob says it was actually his favorite match, but he agrees Marina shouldn't have lost. And, you know, Bob, like I said, the match was a fine match. There was nothing wrong with the match. That's why I didn't want to use the words that it was the worst match. That's why I just said it was my least favorite, just because I'm just not a Mina fan. I'm not. But nothing was wrong with the match. It was a fine match. It really was. Of course, Bob also went Ronda. Yeah, we can have our opinions. That's fine, Bob. Next, guys, we go to Speedball Mike Bailey versus Mark Davis. Now, look, good match, right? Mark Davis could go and he does things for a big guy. That's impressive. He really does. But guess what? Once again, Mark Davis loses. How are you going to keep on booking a guy that you were planning on pushing to be in this dominant tag team to where now he's just constantly losing? So all of a sudden, is he remark? You know, is he all of a sudden going to become this untouchable monster that can't get beat once his partner comes back? To me, this is just bad booking, Robbie.
Yeah, I mean, because you look at, and here's the thing. If you look at some of that match, the moves that Mark Davis did, okay, on the ring apron, whatever you want to call it, brain buster or whatever, where he, you know, they gave him the false finish towards the end where he did another like power driver or whatever. So you would think the size difference between him and Speedball and everything, with the size difference, couple like 2 or 3 devastating moves that Mark Davis did, and now you have Speedball kick out of them, and then you put him over. I mean, you're making him look like the weak link.
Right.
And how, you know, if and when his partner comes back, like you're saying, now you're going to put him over again, like make him this dominant monster, but you're having him lose all this time now.
Well, and this is the thing. And I know people say, Kevin, you think way too much, but I'm sorry. I think about this shit. when you have someone like Speedball Mike Bailey, who's a great competitor, don't get me wrong. I think that he's on his way to becoming a main eventer headliner. I wouldn't be surprised if he eventually becomes world champion. But at the same time, you have him kicking out of these moves that when Mark Davis' partner comes back, you're going to have Mark Davis beating people using these same moves. You're going to make those people look weak as fuck because they couldn't kick out of something that Mike Bailey kicked out of. And I'm not talking about nobodies either. I'm talking about your other tag team wrestlers that are established. You make other people look bad when you have people kick out of moves that take other people out. Or do you disagree, Robbie?
No, I agree with you. I mean, I thought the same thing. I was kind of surprised they put Speedball over.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like, wow, you're kind of killing this guy's credibility here.
Yeah.
That's kind of was the thought that went through my head, especially, like I said, he did 2 or 3 like really devastating moves.
Yes.
So now you're making, Speedball look invincible. And then, like you're saying, okay, say his partner Doyle and him, Davis, come back, they challenge FTR, and now they pin FTR with one of those moves. Just makes no sense,
And on the flip side of that, they made Mike Bailey look like that you have to kill the guy in order to pin him. So now when someone actually does a finisher on Mike Bailey and pins him, that wasn't nearly as devastating as Mike Davis's move. Well, now you made Mike Davis look weak once again because, well, obviously Mike Davis's moves are weak moves.
Right.
Yeah,
because, I mean, that move on the ring apron that he did, I mean, I wouldn't want to take it.
No. Oh, no, I cringe when I see that. Matter of fact, by the way, there's another move, going back real quick to Marina Shafir during that match with Mina. When she fell backwards, and I don't think she was meant to fall. I think she lost her stepping, and her head hit the turnbuckle. And I sat on the edge of my chair real quick. I'm like, oh my God, is she okay? It looked nasty. I'm like,
well, that and then that belly to back suplex that they did, and she missed the table and her head hit the out there. That one, because I was like, at first I thought her head hit the corner of the table. And then when they showed it back a couple of times, it was like, no, it didn't hit it. It hit the floor.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't read anything or heard anything. I hope she doesn't have any type of concussions that's going to take her out for a bit. But I'm glad that, she appeared to be okay. Guys, next we go to Swerve Strickland.
Okay, before you go on. So this will go towards Bob's girl, Ronda Rousey, to say it's fake. And it's, okay, so here's the spot that they were supposed to go through the table. And this shows to everybody, oh, your stuff, you guys practice this. No, you don't practice going through tables and stuff like that. It's a one take shot, and you have to hope it goes right.
Yeah.
And, and that's what happens when it doesn't go right.
100%. I agree with you.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good. You're good. Next, we go to Swerve Strickland's response. And Swerve goes on to say, look, why would I give up my number 1 contendership without you having anything that I would want? He's like, I have the power. So in order for me to give up my power, well, Kenny, you need to give up your power. The VP position. He's like, I will accept it if you put up your VP status. Now, look, normally I'd be like, oh, this is be cool because you don't wear Are they going to really take Swerve Strickland's #1 contendership away from him? Or are they actually going to take it away from? I mean, the VP status away from Kenny Omega. You don't know where they're going to go with that. That'd be very intriguing for me. Except this is the problem: we just fucking seen it done with the Young Bucks. This is laziness, in my opinion. It's going to be a great match. But man, I wish they could have just went down another road storyline-wise, Robbie.
Yeah, I mean, when I, heard it and everything, I was like, to me, see, I thought, okay, because I wasn't thinking about, okay, they just did this with the Young Bucks. I was like, well, it makes you kind of wonder, are they going to put Swerve or are they going to go Kenny?
Right.
I'm kind of curious to see how they're going to go with this year.
Right. And I'm still curious as well. I'm not saying I'm not.
Right.
Obviously, I'm going to be watching the match. But again, we just seen it. And it wasn't like with the Young Bucks, this was just a very quick little storyline. They drug this out. Right? As a matter of fact, the Young Bucks are just now recovering financially from losing the VP.
See, and I forgot about them losing. Yeah. So, you say you have a short memory, I have a shorter one.
But you know what, though? Look, there may be a lot of fans that don't remember this. So, it's just maybe a me thing. But let's talk about this. Do you look now? We now have the Young Bucks that are no longer VPs. Do you think that they're going to pull away from Kenny Omega and have Strickland as #1 contender? I don't, and I tell you why. I don't foresee them giving us a heel versus heel Strickland against MJF match. I just don't. I think that there's more money in the chase of Kenny Omega now chasing MJF. Babyface chasing heel for the title. Kenny Omega is now the #1 contender. I think there's more money in that. I think that's the direction they're going to go in. Robbie?
Yeah. I'd like to see him, because I just would like to see how Swerve would act as a VP. If they go that route. But when you
I'm sorry. I think that would be more entertaining seeing how Chris Nana would end up, having that power just by association.
Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, you'd be curious to see.
Right.
But with what you're saying, and if you had and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but if you put Swerve and Kenny to see who's more popular, I would say, maybe by a little bit is Kenny Omega.
Right.
So I would foresee them giving, you're like, I know where they're kind of going to me, my personal opinion, like you said, it would be Kenny Omega versus MJF.
Right.
More so than Swerve versus MJF.
This is my other fear with this. Swerve Strickland loses that #1 contendership. We just seen Hangman Adam Page lose his chance to ever go against to ever chase that title. Will they now reignite the Hangman Adam Page and Swerve feud? Now look, did I like that feud that they had last time? And that the lights out match, I loved it. I really did. Does that mean I want to see it again? No, I don't. Also, for some reason, my gut is telling me some way, somehow, this is how they come across some type of a fucking loophole that gets Heyman Adam Page back in that title run, even though he just lost it. I don't know how. I just have that feeling, man. I don't want to see it. Your thoughts on that? Because where else are they going to go with Swerve Strickland?
Right. I mean, but how many times can you keep going back to the well speaking of Hangman and Swerve,
Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre. I know it's WWE, but still, as far as how many times you go back to the well,
right?
man.
But having those kind of matches, I mean,
right?
What else can you do?
Right.
You know, and like because if they go back to that with Hangman and Swerve, you're going back down that road to another hardcore match.
Well, and not to mention, I'm sorry, Robbie, but tell me if you disagree with this. That feud that they had, the most memorable part of that feud, and it's something they can never create again, because I think that this moment became much bigger than they ever thought it would be. And that is Heyman Adam Page in front of Swerve Strickland's childhood home being burnt in flames. Right?
Right.
That made regular news, not just professional wrestling, regular. That was a big moment. You could never create that again.
Right. But a couple of their hardcore matches was violent.
Right.
Now, how much more can you, go above that?
Yeah.
I mean, same thing like you're saying, you created this moment with him burning his house down. Now, and then a couple of those big hardcore matches, you also had moments in there. How are you going to top those moments?
Right. I don't know. Maybe he'll put 3 syringes through Swerve's mouth. I don't know.
Yeah. So
hopefully I'm wrong. Again, it's just speculation. I don't know. I just see that happening. Guys, go to our main event. It's a trio match. The Young Bucks, Jack Perry against Okada and RPG Vice in the main event. Look, I think that this main event would have been better without Jack Perry in it. Nothing against Jack Perry, guys. To me, that just watered down the main event. It really did. I think the Young Bucks just against RPG Vice. Why have Okada in it? Right? Why? Just have Young Bucks against RPG Vice if that's the way you're going to go. At the same time, one can argue as well that having RPG Vice in it watered it down, because are they really main eventers? Robbie?
Yeah, I mean, you would have thought, as big as all the people you have in Don Callis's family, you could have went to other people, a little more than Trent Beretta and the other guy. You would have maybe put, even what's his name, the dude with the C, Cyclone or whatever, and somebody else, I just, and the same, I could have been done without Jack Perry, nothing against him, or, but
I'm really surprised that we didn't see a rematch of Jack Perry against Ricochet last night. I really was.
Right.
Now, the match, it was okay. It was entertaining.
Yeah.
I don't think it was I for myself don't think it was a main event caliber match.
No, and I mean, they had some cool spots, but it was a match you kind of thought it was the way it was going to go. It went.
Right.
If I had to say my match of the night was the opener, Ospreay and Blake Christian. Yes. I thought that was the match of the night.
100%. Yep. Now, the post main event, and this is, I think, ultimately where they were trying to get to and what actually mattered. The Young Bucks talks about getting back to the top of the tag team division, talk about how they let their family down, talk about their kids, and then all of a sudden we hear Adam Copeland's music and then Cage. They come out to the ring. They say no disrespect, but we want this to come from us. Tony Khan's already booked FTR versus Copeland and Christian. Copeland says, I got to do it, man. I'm sorry. They hurt my wife. I got to do it for that reason. That's typical what I expected. I prefer Christian Cage's reasoning. I wanted to prove that not only were we the best tag team back in our era, we're the best fucking tag team in your era. Honestly, I was more ecstatic, or I was happier to see Christian back on my TV than I even was with Copeland. Man, this run with Christian Cage for myself has been his best run in professional wrestling, period. Because I was never really a Christian guy until AEW. Something very different about him. I've been told very similar to his TNA run. I didn't really watch TNA that much. So maybe if I would have gone back and watched TNA, I'd be like, okay, I just maybe not a big WWE Christian fan. But yeah, Christian Cage is just right now, since he's been with AEW, I don't think there's anything he can do that's wrong. He's great. Absolutely great. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know that I watched a lot of him in like TNA. Right. So, I mean, when they were in WWE, they were good. I mean, I won't say they were my favorites, but right. Like a lot of their matches, they had some great matches with, the Hardys and the Dudleys. They, you can't take nothing away from them. So those matches were like fantastic.
I think with Cage, it's his, more
his mic skills.
Oh my God, he's been so funny.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, and I mean, like he said, I'm to like he's that, and he goes, plus I'm an asshole. So right. Right. that was pretty good, and it was kind of funny. I mean, I kind of laughed like the way the Bucks were, and my dad, said, right. Oh, don't forget who. And you're just like, it just kind of, I don't know, kind of watered it down or something. Right. To me, it did. That's my opinion. It was just kind of the way that it was just, to me, it was watered down.
Well, what made me really question with what they were doing with the Young Bucks was this. Real quick, Bob says Christian is incredibly boring. Anyone could do what he's doing. Do they speak at all? Okay, Groucho. Jesus. I disagree with you, Bob. 100%. Teach their own. What made me question about what they're doing with the Young Bucks was the Young Bucks just got saying how they're going to fight back to be the number one, to get the titles. But yet they just seemingly allowed Christian and Edge, who hasn't been seen in quite a while, basically come back and take that number one contender spot just like that. And they just walked away.
Right. I was kind of where I thought it was going to go is we're going to get the Young Bucks versus Christian and Cage.
Right.
Or Christian and Edge. I mean,
for the number one contendership.
Yeah, that would make more sense. That's where they were going with that.
Now, where I think this is going to end up at is I have a feeling that I don't know how we're going to get there. I don't know if we're going to have a match. The match that we're going to have between the two, FTR is going to win, and Christian Edge is going to ask for a rematch. And if they get this rematch, or FTR is going to say, that's fine, we'll give you a rematch, only if both of you put up your careers. Because it's strongly, and I said this months ago, that they're going to retire at the same time. They came in pretty much at the same time. I think they're going to retire at the same time. That's what I'm predicting is going to happen. Now, how they get there, I don't know. But I think ultimately we're going to want to see in the titles versus their career. Is what we're headed to.
I can see it. I mean, and you wonder, are we going to see that? Are we going to see a triple threat with the Bucks and FTR and, you know, Edge and Christian? Are you going to, you know, I mean, I can see him going that route too, you know, with a triple threat.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Bob, you want to tell me how wrong I am about that? Love Bob Cook, just giving him shit. Although I haven't been agreeing with him a lot lately. You know, I mean, he thinks Gunther's boring. I disagree. If he thinks Christian's boring, I disagree. Yeah, I mean, that does it for AEW Dynamite. I got to go with a B minus. I almost gave him a C. You know, I'll go with a B minus. Robbie?
I'm giving him a C.
A C?
C. There was, I mean, really the opening match was the match that stood out.
Mm-hmm.
A couple, you know, I mean, the Swerve promo, you know, I mean, of course you knew when they brought Kenny's going to come out and, you know, so he was predictable. The Swerve thing kind of threw me because I wasn't thinking, you know, like KG was. So I kind of like the you know, the Swerve and just the way there was a couple matches, the way they went that just kind of downgraded it. And I would say the Speedball Mark Davis one kind of downgraded it. And the same with Marina Sharif and
sure, yeah,
that kind of downgraded it a little bit.
Well, this is what I don't understand. So this match between Swerve and Kenny is happening next week. Excuse me. God, happening next week. We didn't get any reaction back from Kenny Omega. Nothing. All we get is Tony Khan's made the match for next week, right? Do you think that they should have been at least something back from Kenny Omega and maybe even a little bit of a build a couple of weeks? Do you think that it should be done in a pay-per-view instead of a weekly show on Dynamite?
Yeah, but when's there not? I mean, that would have made more sense doing it at a pay-per-view because it would have left it up in the air. Okay, what route are they really going to go? You would have thought they would have done some kind of build-up to it.
Right.
You know, like you said, a feedback from Kenny, then feedback from Swerve, you know, back and forth, or, you know, have them sign a contract and do what you're going to do in the ring.
Right.
I was kind of surprised that they went right away with it. I mean, I figured that maybe they'd build it up a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Guys, that does it. Robbie, C, B minus for me. Join us again. Don't forget, we'll be doing our recap Monday Night Raw on Tuesday. Myself, Robbie Idol, and Bob Cook.
Mr. Positively.
Yeah. Sure, Bob will disagree with everything we had to say. Also, Thursday, the Grizzled Vet will be back. We're going to be talking about AEW Dynamite. Did Kenny Omega lose his VP status, guys? Find out. Subscribe to the podcast. I'm going to get out of here because I have these damn hiccups.
Well, just think it's been anniversary week this week.
Yes.
So, means Tuesday I had my anniversary. Mike's having his anniversary today, so it's been anniversary week.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Happy anniversary to everybody, guys. You guys enjoy the rest of the week again. We won't be here. We won't be doing our normal podcast tomorrow doing recap of SmackDown. There's a lot of stuff happening with families, anniversaries, and stuff, as Rob just said. But again, we'll be back next week. Until then, you guys enjoy your weekend that's coming up.
Have a good one.